Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising books, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, as well as other fun, informative global cruise personalities. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests. If you hear about a cruise that interests you, book it at www.thejoyofacation.com or enter to win a free cruise for two. Again, www.thejoyofacation.com. We really appreciate your feedback, so leave us a text. Paul can't reply, but he may read your text on the air.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. This week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am proud to welcome Dr. George Alexakis, a former colleague of mine from Florida Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers. George is a hospitality and tourism professor at FGCU, and he did some work, a collaboration with the organization I led, which was the Office of Continuing and Off-Campus Education. George and I always had a good rapport given our mutual interests, not just in continuing ed, but hospitality, which I had taught at my prior institution, Rutgers University. George taught cruise management classes and led several cruises for students. He also garnered a reputation for putting together annual land trips to his homeland of Greece, popular with students, faculty, and the Southwest Florida community. Dr. George Alexakis is a lifelong tourism and hospitality professional who began his career managing his family's restaurant and banquet operations in Ontario, Canada. He went on to serve as a hospitality consultant and marketing manager for the renowned firm Cine Little International. Today, he is a full professor at Florida Gulf Coast University, where he teaches courses in culturally responsible tourism, sustainability, and a variety of other courses. An accomplished speaker and educator, Dr. Alexakis has presented across the globe on topics such as dynamic communication, exceptional customer service, and human resource development. He has taught in Italy, the Caribbean, Israel, and aboard major cruise ships. He holds a doctorate in higher education with a concentration in hospitality, a hospitality master's, and a hospitality and tourism bachelor's. A prolific scholar, George has authored numerous articles and book chapters in the fields of tourism, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Each summer, as I mentioned, he plans a tour for travelers to have an authentic experience of Greece, off the beaten path and beyond the postcard views. Very fluent in Greek and deeply connected to his heritage, George collaborates closely with the professional tour director and local guides to create unforgettable cultural experiences filled with heritage, storytelling, and of course fun. He proudly refers to himself as the mayor of fun. Welcome, George, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. How you doing?
Fantabulous. That's a term that was coined by Mr. John Mazzaros. He's a general manager of a courtyard here in Fort Myers, and I just think that's it blends fantastic and fabulous all in one. Fantabulous. That's how I feel today.
Great. Before we discuss your career in academia and tourism and hospitality, tell our listeners about yourself in general, where you're from, where you live, your background, anything you would like to share with the cruising community.
Sure. Well, let me start with my parents, who are from a small little village of 1,000. At its height, it was 2,000 when they left. In Greece, a small little village in the southern mainland part of Greece. They emigrated to Montreal, where I was born. And
Greece?
Yeah.
Greece? Alexakis? Nah.
Actually, because, I do these Greece tours. Alexakis, I joke about how it's my, Alexakis is like my stage name. Then my real name is George Johnson, but I've got to promote the Greece tours. But yeah, so we're born in Montreal, raised in Toronto, makes me a Greek Canadian, although my heart, I got to tell you, is always in Montreal. What a fantastic, it's a North American city with very heavily European flavor, but the Italians and the Portuguese, the Greeks came after World War II and settled Canada and much of the U.S. and Australia and places like that. We have one of the largest Italian communities in the world in Toronto, but Greeks in particular suffered after World War II because they had a civil war as well. And so anyways, my parents settled in Canada. I'm first generation Greek Canadian, first generation college educated too. I noticed that in my bio, you talked about my degrees, but I also am very proud of my associate's degree, which they call a diploma up in Canada, from a community college. And I made that long trek from high school, which wasn't a great experience for me. Didn't do very well until I hit my stride in community college. And I like to say that because a lot of the listenerships, have like to go back to school, and I always encourage that. We live in Estero, Florida, sandwiched between Fort Myers and lovely Naples. I love it here. And I came to the U.S. years ago for school. I went to Johnson Wales University in Rhode Island, and famous for, cooking and hospitality and that kind of thing, and deservedly so. And I stayed here in the U.S. and moved to Florida to start a family, and became actually at a very young age, a teacher, a teaching professor and a corporate trainer. My wife and I, we enjoy cruising, traveling, cooking, entertaining, long walks on the beach, nature preserves. You get the idea.
In Canada, your family had a restaurant. Is that what influenced you to pursue a career of tourism and hospitality?
Yes, I joke about how I acquired the taste for liver. I'll explain that in a moment. We had two restaurants, a formal dining room and a more casual place. Although, I was born in Canada where I still have a big fat Greek family. I was raised by parents who shockingly never let me forget I was Greek. The language, the food, the hospitality is almost synonymous with Greeks, and it dates back to the ancients who believed that a stranger should be treated like a VIP, because that stranger could be a god in disguise. And that really explains why Greeks treat everybody, regardless of creed, color, whatever it is, whoever you are, they're going to treat you like family there. It goes right back.
Mm-hmm.
It courses through our veins, this level of hospitality and customer care that goes back to the ancients. That strong sense of cultural identity began in my late teens, and it includes how I teach, how I interact with the world. My parents, again, shockingly owned restaurants, where I learned about food service and developed a hospitality mindset. My mom in particular taught me that. She was very savvy. I grew up as a hospitalier. I mean, literally. And some would say those two things are synonymous, being Greek and being hospitable. And a fun fact, I learned how to successfully make Caesar salad dressing tableside from scratch by the time I was 14, something that I do to this day for family members and friends. And if I really want to get fancy, I'll throw on a chef jacket and hat and really wow them. But I want to talk about this acquiring a taste for liver. You don't, most people don't like it. Nutritionists say that it takes 20 to 21 times to acquire that taste, whereas ice cream is something like 1 or 2 times as a baby. Really, you can acquire the taste for ice cream pretty quickly. But I wasn't like so charged up about hospitality and pleasing people when I was in my teens. I was like any other child, young person trying to figure his way in the world and identity and all that. And my parents got me to work in the restaurant. They wanted to keep me out of trouble, so that they figured that was the way, right? And wash dishes, did it all. And I didn't know what to do. Like, high school wasn't a good experience for me, and I didn't do very well. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to take. And I really couldn't even get into university at the time. So I looked at the colleges and I thought, oh, this food service, this hotel thing, this is something I kind of is familiar. So I just took that. I didn't have the passion that I have now. But you go to school and you learn some things, and you go back to work, which is the exact same thing for me, right? I'm working in restaurants. And then, school became more interesting, and then work became more interesting, and school became more interesting. It's like it snowballed. I just really learned to level it up. Again, my mother was really savvy. She would seat the customers as a maitre d' in the restaurant, and it really assisted me in all my endeavors to this day, my professional world and my personal world, to have that kindness towards the stranger, you know?
Of course, I met you at FGCU. Man, that sounds amazing, teaching cruising
Yeah, I taught cruise management.
as part of the curriculum. I did teach hospitality management at a prior institution, and I incorporated cruising in a couple of case studies, but never a cruising course, a whole cruising course. That just sounds amazing. And then a cruise as part of the curriculum. Had you cruised before coming to FGCU?
No, I had not. The first time I went on a cruise was with the students. I went on the Liberty of the Seas, Royal Caribbean, and got my sea legs very quickly. I absolutely love the dining room experience, having been brought up in formal dining. I got to meet the students in a different way. I got close to the students. I mean, the course, I team taught the course, and it was, part online, part on ground, and then part online, part on board, and it was fantastic. And I just returned quickly with my family, and I'd been talking to some other travelers and passengers, and they were saying, "Oh, you want to? This ship's a little too big. The perfect one is Navigator of the Sea." So, what I did was I arranged. I didn't tell you this before, Paul, but I arranged through my church, Lamb of God Church in Estero, an 8-day cruise that I planned for congregants at my church. And there was, like, I think 20 of us I got to go on this trip, and I got a good price and everything. I basically did what you do now. And it was cool. I arranged to have us meet in the chapel every morning as a group, a quick prayer, and then like all these things tangential to sermons that, because the pastor came with us and his wife,
Hmm.
and he would talk about these cool things that are not like they're directly related to the Bible and all that stuff, but stuff that he wanted to talk about that he really wasn't really appropriate for sermons because they were really outside of what he was supposed to be doing in church. And it was such a fantastic experience. So yeah,
Now let's go back to the first cruise with the students. So how many students came along?
usually like 20 to 30. I did this. I did this 3 times. I co-led this class.
What percentage for each of the 3 times of the students had never cruised? Most?
Uh, no, well, I'd say, well, because we live in Florida, so it's accessible. So I'd say about half of them, which maybe even less than half
Uh-huh.
cruised.
They
Yeah.
were they all thrilled? I mean, was it I suspect it was a fulfilling experience, was it?
Well, it was in so many ways. I mean, Royal Caribbean, first of all, was wonderful. One student said that she signed up thinking it would be a floating vacation resort or floating resort vacation, and came home saying it was the most eye-opening academic experience she ever had. You see, as you all know, being an educator yourself, when you have a guest speaker in, or it accelerates the learning. When you do a field trip, it accelerates the learning even more. But when you take students away for several days and they see other countries, oh my goodness, it's like taking 3 classes. It's accelerated, or what we call express learning. I mean, we used port days as field work, and where students had to go on excursions with us, like snorkeling or bobsledding through a rainforest in Jamaica. Love the Jamaicans, by the way, inspired by that legendary Jamaican bobsled team. Hard work, but someone's got to do it. But it was definitely, they didn't even realize they were learning because it just happened, and it was a real lesson for me about the importance of faculty-led study abroad. That's the technical term we use. But I think I sent you the syllabus, and as you can see, the students must evaluate guest services, sustainability practices, and cultural sensitivity, all that stuff. So it was really interesting.
How long after that first cruise with the students did you go on your cruise with the church?
Pretty quickly after, I was pretty hooked right away. And
So you were hooked on that first
oh yeah,
cruise.
and I, not only that, I mean, within that time, I did 3 with the students. In that short period of time, within 4 or 5 years, I did like 8 cruises, all with Royal Caribbean. And it was interesting. A fun fact about them, they were great, and and not sure if it's still true, but Royal Caribbean did not charge us for the meeting space when we met in the mornings with the students and had various. That's how our day would be. So we'd meet with various operations managers from food and beverage, from guest services, whatever, and they would talk to like guest speakers, right? Like you'd have in a classroom, and various ship department people would come. You know.
So, excuse me for interrupting. So the ship knew what was going on as far as your class is concerned.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we required the students to like in the afternoon. Sometimes you know how they have the captain talks to you and gives you a little video about about the behind the scenes stuff. But we also got tours of the kitchen galleys that we had prearranged. We went to the captain's deck once. I mean, it was it was this kind of hands-on learning experience.
Now, had you been in touch with the cruise line much before the cruise?
Yes, and some of it was done through an individual like yourself. His name was Neil, and he was in Naples at the time, and did it, kind of what you do. And I think he was exclusively with Royal Caribbean though, and an American Express or something. I can't remember exactly, but yes, we absolutely coordinated these things with them because it takes planning, and we want the meeting space, although it was usually empty. And they were I couldn't say enough about how professional they were and how it all worked out. And I think the ship mentality is you got to be on time, and that was really something that we drilled into the students. Like it's not like Florida time. You got to show up 15 minutes early is late. So we didn't mess around, and the students really responded to that. They were great too.
What were some highlights or challenges of cruising?
You make me
as
laugh.
faculty.
So
I know it couldn't have been all highlights.
Well, keeping students focused while surrounded by sun decks, buffets, and karaoke. Now, that's curriculum design at its finest. Yes, I'm going to tell you. We went on the Oasis of the Seas the latter two times, and the biggest problem was a place called Senior Frogs in Cozumel. It was like a rapidly swirling vortex of drunken entropy. That's how I would describe it. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we even planned an excursion so that we would get back to the port and on the ship. We timed it so they had very little time to even go in there. But let me tell you, they would completely lose all control within 15 minutes of that place. The students would get drunk. We really were afraid. I mean, seriously, we were afraid. Like on the serious side, we're afraid. Most of our students are female, and we're really afraid there'd be like abduction or we'd have some kind of problem like that because it was a wild place at Senior Frogs. We even considered using the sister ship, the Allure, because it would go to the other side of the Caribbean. No Senior Frogs. It cost us $200 more, but we really considered that. And I was just like, we were afraid. So, yeah, that was.
Did you have, other than you on the trip, did you have like chaperones?
Well, there was two of us. It was me and another professor. We co-led the tour, right? And we had different responsibilities. But
no student parents came or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. No. And
did you offer that or not really?
No. And although I have talked with administration even recently about doing tours with students, parents, everybody, including alumni and all that, I think it would be wonderful. Because so here's what I learned. Here's like a pro tip: when traveling with young people, actually do the opposite of what you would think. Encourage them to enjoy themselves and have fun and stay out late, especially the first 3 nights, while simultaneously having early morning start times. Things mellow out by day 3, and they all become metaphorical lambs. I mean, it's It's really amazing. But if you watch people too much, they do silly things. But if you put your trust in them, then different things happen. They don't feel like you don't have to be a cop. I'm an educator. I'm not a cop. I want to encourage them to experience things, but to also be smart about things too. And you can't do that unless they pick up on the fact that you do have a trust in them. If you treat them like adults, they act like adults. And I'll tell you, I've done 5 study abroads. Those 3 plus 2, we did two things of Italy, 2 tours of Italy. I never had an issue with the student. Never once have we had an issue while I've traveled with them. And the accelerated learning. And then the interesting thing was, I think I sent you the syllabus. They had this long paper to do, or they could do a video. Everything that's on the paper, same criteria, but video format. And the video took way longer, but all but like 1 or 2 students would do the video because they were so charged up about all this. And the other thing is, after the first tour, I brought my family, and they got to meet my kids and stuff.
You brought your family on the student tour?
On tour 2 and tour 3, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
they got to meet my children. My children were young at that time, and it was just a higher level connection with the students. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those students, and from like way back. One of them even hired me to do some corporate training recently. I mean, it was a different level of connection with the students, and I really learned a lot as an educator about what they're thinking and how I should pivot and shift as a result of the things I learned about them in a more intimate setting, with my family.
How old were your kids when they came on?
I think like 10 and 8 the first time.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Were they proud that Dad was leading a class?
Well, they're go-getters, and
they could care less.
Well, they're more intimidated. Like they're used to me, but they're kind of intimidated with the tall, big students, right? And students are taller than they have ever been. But when they sat down, so dining with the class was required every evening, and then you'd reflect on your day and the things that you did with us, and the things that you did with without the class. And my children interacted with them at that time. I think it was just an amazing, amazing experience for everybody because. When you reflect on things, you remember them like 5 years later. And that's what it was required, that we all sat in that formal dining room to have those experiences, much like a family, which a lot of the students these days don't do, you see.
Let's talk about Greece. So, you call yourself the mayor of fun.
Yes.
But in South Florida, you're also the Greek mayor. So I started to say the big fat Greek mayor, but that wouldn't quite come out right because you're not big and fat. I just know that from the movie. How did the tradition develop of leading trips to Greece?
Well, that's an interesting story and a great question. And now, of course, it's not just Florida. I mean, I get people from other states and different people.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So you're the mayor. You're the Greek mayor throughout Florida.
I can pack in a lot of fun in one day. So after the 3 cruise classes, I co-led 2 other student classes with our chef professor. The second one was the chef professor. The first one was a 10-day. The second was a 14-day, which I co-led with Chef James back in 2016. And he's our chef professor.
Chef James,
you know him, right?
I work with him. Yeah.
So he's amazing. He's a chef, still the chef professor at FGCU for the hospitality program. He created a beautiful Italian itinerary. Speaks fluent Italian. Worked at a Michelin 1-star restaurant that we visited while we were there. They treated us like family.
Oh wow!
And asked me to co-lead. I'd never met a chef, by the way, who could consistently hit the highest flavor taste profiles like him. He can do it consistently. It's always delicious when he cooks something. Anyways, I figured he would do a great job, so I joined him, and I was wrong. He didn't do a great job. He did a fantabulous job with everything. because we kind of knew each other and we gelled on many levels, I complimented him like we'd been working together for years on this, and it was an incredible. And so I was inspired by Chef James. I decided to offer a tour because my Greek is really good, like really good. And I offered this tour to friends and neighbors and family and community members, including some university donors that came on my second tour. And the pastor of my church came on the first tour. I mean, just different types of people are attracted to it. It's really interesting.
How many people were on your first tour?
In 2018, there were 18 people, and it was a highly customized tour. And earlier that year, I had the great honor of being a keynote speaker at a World Tourism Conference in the second largest city, Thessaloniki, Greece. And in Salonika, I spoke to like 500, owners, managers of hotels, and even some hospitality students. It was underwritten by the company called Deloitte, the accounting consulting firm,
yes,
and the American University of Thessaloniki hosted it, and I was their first of many speakers. It was their keynote, and it was great. And then I got to do my first tour after that. And what I realized on that tour, and even before that, in traveling with the students, and what James had done, is that people want something deeper than tourism. They want a connection. Like the students in that Italy trip, and I asked them, because I continually poll people, what was your favorite part of the trip when we went to Italy? Like when we're kind of ending the tour, and they're like, the hospitality school that we visited. We met with the students. They gave us a presentation on how the educational system and specifically hospitality schools work. We learned. We lunched with them. They had a beautiful, it was a hospitality school, so it was a really nice spread. We exchanged gifts. It was that emotional connection that takes us, and that was the topic of my conversation earlier that year, or not conversation, my keynote address was how Airbnb allowed people to make these personal connections, at least back then, before it got a little too corporate, that these personal connections. So that's how I really started that to and beyond the postcard views, and attracted people of all ages, couples, singles, families, friends rooming together. I get like a lot of women whose husbands don't want to travel, and they'll room together, or two friends, and this kind of thing. So yeah.
Do you get any former students or faculty for your Greece trips?
I get both, but not many. Like I'll get, like last year, there was a faculty member with this College of Education at my institution. She came with her husband. The year before that, one of the professors in the music college, she was on the tour. She's actually coming again this year. She came with she roomed with a friend the first time, and now this year, I guess it was actually not 2 years ago, 3 years ago she came, and this year she's coming alone, but she knows me, she knows my wife, and we have a big party before and after the tour. We had our home, or not necessarily at our home. I mean, last year the after party was at there was a Greek church has a big festival, and this was kind of their mini festival, and I just I hosted everybody over there. It was fantastic. Yeah, we have Greek music, we all this stuff in our home, and we cook everything, Joy and I. So yeah, it's been great.
Are the attendees, I think I know the answer to this, but let me ask it anyway. Are the attendees all of, or predominantly of Greek heritage?
You mean the passengers, or not passengers, but I mean the travelers that come with me? No.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, no. I mean,
No?
Greeks don't travel with me. I mean, no. It's maybe half Greeks. There's a lot of people that were, one parent was Greek or their grandparent. I get a lot of those people, but I don't get, Greeks, because they.
Okay, I would have guessed there was some connection, especially when you talked about doing things when you come back at the Greek church and all of that. So it's not necessarily that.
No, not at all. It's just basically all other types of Americans and Canadians. I've had Canadians. I've had people flying from the UK. No, it's people that have always wanted to go to Greece. It's on their bucket list. They've never been, and they get kind of their sea legs with me, right? It's all one price. I don't take, it's not like I don't do I broke up with the airlines a couple of years ago, so I don't do any more flights. But you get to Greece, use your points, do whatever. Just get to Greece by a certain time when we start the tour, and everything's taken care of pretty much, other than gifts and your odd meal. But Greeks tend to overfeed you, so we get fed well, nice hotels and all that. But no, I don't. I mean, it's. These tours are for people who want to experience it for the first time. And if you want to go back, you can go back with me or you can go back on your own. But it's a nice way to really experience it and do that kind of thing.
Do you get many repeat guests?
Yes, not tons, but I do get people more recently coming back a second time. I've got another gentleman that's coming back a second time. This time he's bringing his sister and her husband. I had a student who roomed with another student 2 years ago, and she came back the following year with her. She came back this past year with her brother and her parents, and so I thought they were going to come a third year too. So yeah, I do have repeat people. It depends on, some people were like, okay, I went with you once. I think I could do, and have had people go back to Greece without me, which is great. I mean, it's I kind of set the stage for them so they can feel comfortable going back.
Give us some highlights of your Greece excursions over the years.
Oh, sure. Ferry cruises, and I call them ferry cruises because it's not like a ferry boat here. Like, these are like really nice restaurants in these ferries that we take. They're much like cruises, even though you're only in there for a few hours to get to an island. Really nice experience. It's part of the experience, and you get to see idyllic islands on the way. And of course, we visit. I typically do one island with each tour, do mainland and one island at least. All day boat rides we've done, jumping off the sides of a boat to swim or enjoy, a swim in a cove that's full of mineral water, swimming in caves and having a Greek barbecue on the beach of a secluded, uninhabited island. The crew will cook for us and all that. One of the cool things, a couple of other really cool things, sleeping overnight in a castle fortress. We did that last year. That was amazing. We also got to sit atop a mountain villa, have a homemade lunch in this guy was a fourth generation olive oil small batch producer.
Oh, wow.
In one of three of the best olive oil producing areas in the world. There's another one in Greece and there's one in Italy. And he gave us a tour of the olive groves, and then we sat there and he had this homemade lunch, and then we're viewing the mountains. And not just the mountains, but we're viewing the sea, and we're also viewing this beautiful port city and an stunningly idyllic, beautiful island. All that while we're eating traditional food and wine, and everyone got an EVOO gift. It was great, and it was cool about that was, and it never even occurred to me this. The traveler said this, like, you know what? We're not going to buy any gifts here in Greece. We're just going to order from this guy because, he lives part of the year in Miami where he bases his business from. And it's a small operator, but he basically, they all went to laconicsun.com and ordered all their stuff. It was all at their house by the time they got there. And
wow.
That's the gifts they gave out to everybody, because he has a variety of things, not just olive oil, right? He has soaps and personal care products. He's got a bunch of things all centered around the theme of olive oil. He's got olives and he's got honey and these types of things. So they're able to just, hey, this stuff is from Greece because everything he's got is from Greece. So yeah, Laconic Sun was fantastic.
I know that you alter the itinerary each year, but just to give us kind of an illustration of a typical Greece excursion, say something about this year's trip. We'll talk.
I will, but I
talk about
will.
The itinerary and the dates and all that. What were you going to say? Something that I interrupt?
Well, I just wanted to say that one thing I'm going to include in this year's itinerary again is encourage people not to schlep things from Greece and just go to his website, because everyone was so happy and satisfied. And the other thing is, like, I noticed that, like, in last year's tour, we went to my parents' ancestral village for a photo op because there's these olive trees that are about 3,000 years old. And I like budgeted like 15 minutes, take some pictures, let's go. they want to stay there for like over an hour. So these are the types of things where, I take them to certain places, eat like a dining in a fine food gourmet market, and and the two tables next to the pasta shelves as people walk in to get cheese and cured meats. These wonderful experiences, I include them in the following year's trip. In fact, Joy and I will often, we typically go to where we're going to go the following year, after the tour is done, and stay an additional week. So last year, the tour that we're doing this year, Joy and I on our own visited some of these places last year. And that's how we do it, just kind of like reconnaissance, if you will. But this year's trip, we're heading to
Now, Joy, you said Joy?
Is my wife, yeah.
Joy, that's your beautiful bride. Congratulations. You got married right after I left.
Yes.
So I mean, we're Facebook friends, and I've had a chance to say congrats online, but this is the first time I'm seeing you since I
Thank you.
left South Florida in what, 4 years ago. So let me just express my congratulations to you and your bride.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. We actually got married during the tour, and everyone that was on the tour was our wedding party, and we're all blown away at just how beautiful the setting was and everything. So,
Oh, did you get married in Greece?
yeah, during the tour we got.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, and everyone that year, everyone that year got to experience our wedding, because they were our wedding
Now,
party.
now, curiosity question, did they know
Yeah, they
that
knew
you
that.
were going to get married on the trip?
Yeah, we told them.
Okay.
We'd arranged it
Okay.
and everything. It was just amazing. It was a really great experience, and we were also surprised just how beautiful everything was and how they did it up.
How many did you take that year?
I think that year was 18, 19, 20, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like that's about 18 is about what you do each
Yeah.
year. So finish telling us about this year's trip. When is
Okay,
it?
so we leave. Well, you can leave whenever you like, but we're going to meet on the 21st for day one of June, 21st of June. Yeah,
21st of
and
June.
we're going to head to lesser known parts of northern Greece. I mean, people are going to say, "Am I in Switzerland? Where is this place?" I mean, it looks very different than. I mean, Greece is different everywhere where you go. No, one place is no more beautiful than the next, but they're all different. So, but that's the magic of the north: more moderate weather, 70 to 80, and super super dry, because Greece is a semi-arid and climate, and it's a dry season during the summer, and then 67 to 70 degrees in the evening. So I'm looking forward to that. Although we will cruise to the island of Corfu from the mainland, I'm excited about some excursions we'll be taking on lakes. They've got a lot of lakes up there, and we're going to see some lake islands, some inhabited, some not inhabited. One inhabited island we're going to actually tour, and we'll be in another lake that Greece shares with two other countries, like an international lake on its northern border there. We're going to hit some wineries and distilleries. We're going to one winery, one distillery. We're going to go to some UNESCO heritage historical sites and ancient sites that we haven't, that are up there, pretty cool places. We're going to do a tour of a central market. You see some beautiful churches, a palace that we're going to tour. Of course, there's going to be beach time. And the other thing is like this whole connection, right? We're going to have a cooking demo with these grandmothers in their home, and they're going to make in front of us a spinach pie, and we're going to eat it. I mean, you get the idea. It's going to be just awesome. So looking forward to it.
Well, the key question, I mean, my listeners are probably sitting there like me salivating as you describe these cooking demonstrations and all of that. Do you have any availability left?
I've got 2 rooms left, and if I push them, I might be able to get a third, but I've got 2 rooms left, and it looks like our tour is going to be around 20, with Joy and I, probably around 20, 21, something like that.
So 2 to 3 rooms. Well, I tell you, George, obviously my listeners like to travel. This is the cruise community and travel land or sea, and now this is open to is your trip open to non-US?
Yes. I've had Canadians come. I,
Okay.
yeah, people have traveled from the UK. It doesn't, that doesn't matter to me as long as you got a passport and can travel. And what happens
Well,
is, I just want to say something that, Paul, that people self-select. Every tour, knock on wood, every tour so far, every single they've gotten along, and I always wondered about this as a researcher as well. Why did this happen? Well, how can it be possible since 2018 everybody gets along? And I think it's because I kind of encourage them. Being a professor, I don't really give them all the information all at once. I give it piece by piece. I'll say, okay, look, here's an email about basically what I'm about. I'm not for everybody, right? So like, do you want to, if you don't like me, you're probably not going to like the other people on the tour. And then I share the video. Like it was a 12-minute Zoom recording that I shared with you about. It's a presentation, basically me talking over PowerPoints with some pictures and stuff. And then I give them the itinerary. I mean, you might get 3 or 4 emails from me, and then by the time they've done that, and I try to get them to actually watch the video and actually read the itinerary, because to manage expectations, but more importantly, people self-select, and everyone that's meant to be on the tour ends up on the tour. Do you know? So it's really interesting.
I'm going to put the video in the show notes
Sure,
for
that's
anyone who
fine.
wants to take a look at it. I mean, it'll give them an idea, about next year's trip. Just about future trips.
Sure,
But with respect to this year's trip, it sounds like you still have 2 or 3
rooms.
spots left.
Yeah.
So do a little commercial. See if we can. And you don't have to be in U.S. We're heard in 132 countries. So, so yeah, tell us the details.
Well, the types of people that are on the tour are not your typical people. They're people who are not tourists. They're people that want to be travelers. They want to go to and beyond the postcard views, which is my tagline. And they want to connect with others. They feel sad at the end of the tour because they're not going to see those people for a while until they come back to our home or wherever I have the after party. And it really is not a place that's look, it's not like a vacation where you feel good for a few days or a few weeks. Greece will reset, will recalibrate, will revitalize you for a minimum of 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year, because of the people are amazing wherever you go. The food, you can't get a bad meal. It's better than most Greek food that you've tasted. It's just amazing food, and the beauty. And I think the olive groves everywhere do something. They give off so much oxygen. If you ever sleep underneath an olive tree, it's like the best sleep you've ever had in your life. And I've done that before. And I think that is what makes people in Greece happy, the Greeks and the people that visit. And that's why they've got so many return people that come every year. And I can't guarantee that with other places, but with Greece, I can guarantee those things.
So give us the contact information. How do we reach out to you to get one of those last spots?
Yeah, the best way to reach out to me is via email. My email is my first and last name separated by the numeral 7. So George7 Alexakis at gmail.com. And I will send you information immediately. Again,
Okay.
customer service, right?
Listeners, I will also have that email address in the show notes. If we are successful in getting you a couple of attendees, let me know offline after the fact so I can shout it out on a later episode.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure your listeners would agree that not only should I let you know and thank you, but I should also send you some laconic sun olive oil. I got to do that,
Hey,
right?
there you go. There you go. There you go. All right, listeners, help me out. Help me out. Hey, let's talk about the future.
Sure.
You have any travel booked?
You know what? I would. You know what, Paul? After I talked to you about this when we first talked about it, I do like cruises, and I do not have any travel book. But after speaking to you, I spoke to my family, and we are very interested in the Dr. Paul experience. You offer what I offer. You offer a highly customized, unique experience at a fair price. I'm in. So you might see us on a cruise at some point in the not so distant future because we're talking about it. We're planning some other things. We got some family things, but I got jazzed about it.
Great. Well, when you get time, you just tell me what your family, what your needs are, what your wants are, and there's just, travel agents say all the time, there is a cruise for everyone.
Oh,
There's
sure.
it's almost inexcusable that someone goes on a cruise and doesn't enjoy it. That just
Yeah.
means 99% of the time, that simply means they chose the wrong cruise. So I look forward to working with you.
It's all about fit. It is all about fit. Absolutely.
What's on your travel bucket list?
Oh, well, the next year's tour, I've started working on it already with the tour director, who, by the way, is like a 24-hour concierge. She's with us the entire time. And his biggest concern and thing that will make him saddest is if you wanted something and you didn't let him know. I mean, last year somebody said something about a wine he can't get anymore, the Greek wine, where he lives in Minnesota, one of the travelers, and Yorgos, our tour director, he arranged for us to actually go to that winery at the end of the tour. Just an add-on, no additional price, nothing. It was fantastic. So,
You hear that, listeners?
yeah, I mean, it was great. And so next year, him and I have been working on, instead of starting in Salonika and going west towards Corfu, we're going to go east this time. And there's some beautiful parts in northern Greece, but east of Thessaloniki and back, So we're going to do some really cool things over there. And I'm also, because I promised one of my previous travelers that I would do a unique Greek island tour for 2027. So that's on the horizon as well. And because it's going to be, see, I'm thinking I got to partner with you, Dr. Paul. I will talk to you off air about this, about possible collaborations, because I want it, to be really for those people that enjoy the water and want to do the islands. Not everyone wants to do the mainland, although the mainland is just as nice in Greece. It really is. So I'm thinking 2027, you and I might have some collaboration. I would love to do the tour of the Azores Islands of Portugal. They're I think 300 or 400 miles off the coast of Portugal, because it's like a 6-hour flight out of JFK. Also, Costa Rica. I had a trip set up during spring break for Costa Rica when I'm off for a week, but I was just too busy, and this is not a money making thing for me, so it's not like I need another tour. So I was actually partnering with someone who's done this before, and she's I just said, look, I'm really apologize. Maybe we can put it off. So maybe March next year, Costa Rica, for another tour. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll talk. George, before we let you go, a couple of fun cruise questions, or at least light cruise questions that I like to ask my guests. So, for starters, how do you spend your me time?
I don't like spending it alone. I like my me time involves people. I mean, I spend one day out of the year I'll spend by myself. I'm really very social. I like planning with Joy. We plan and execute dinner parties. I do guys' nights here and different places, either here at home or not. Farmers markets, and I like to hike. We do that. We Oddly enough, I like podcasts about people's travel stories. I like going on YouTube and watching all this. I find comfort and learn tips from hearing how others see the world, and I'm obsessed with providing a quality product and experience for everyone. So that doesn't, things around us change. So we have to continually adjust and recalibrate and shift a little bit, pay really close attention and survey people heavily to find out how to improve things. So yeah.
George, you sound like the consummate extrovert.
I really am.
Your me time is really we time.
That's right.
I should ask, how do you spend your we time? Okay. What's your favorite cruise food and cruise drink?
Okay. Hands down, Royal Caribbean makes the best spaghetti alla puttanesca. This is the first time I ever had that dish in my life. Was on a Royal Caribbean cruise. It was perfect, or as they say in Italy, perfetto. They also have, I don't know if they still have them, great oatmeal cookies downstairs. So those are my two things. Yeah. And
Okay.
Yeah.
How about your favorite cruise drink?
Well, I'm just more of a sparkling water type person. I mean, I'm a really fun guy, but when it comes to drinks, I'm kind of boring. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee when we go to the Jamaica. Jamaica is one of my favorite places, by the way. I love the Jamaican people.
Yeah. I love Jamaica and just finished a pack of Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Fell in love with it. Many years ago, I used to go to Jamaica all the time when, I was big on going to all-inclusive resorts, which kind of got their start in Jamaica, and so
Right.
I've been on to Blue Mountain Coffee for many years. Okay, what's your most wonderful, memorable, or funniest, or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
Now that's a great question. And I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curve. I overheard two people talking kind of at the end of the cruise, you're waiting to get back to Miami or Fort Lauderdale, wherever we were. And he said to the other guy, he was miffed. He's like, I never, this guy only ate at the buffet, even in the evenings, right? And he was miffed about tipping the dining room staff. He goes, I don't even know where the dining room is. I'm like, wow. I mean, first of all, like how? I mean, I love the dining room. Every night I'd go, and sometimes for lunch you can eat at the dining room, or even breakfast. They have some wonderful breakfasts and unique things like kippers and other things that basically are for the international crowd. It was fantastic, but it was just a learning experience, and it was really the oddest thing. I don't even know where the dining room is. I mean, how can you not know where the dining room is?
Hmm. Last question.
Okay.
I call this question an oddball question because it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with cruising. But before I ask it, let me preface by saying welcome to George's friends listening. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back to hear other episodes, or either join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram. George, share one thing that my listeners and your friends don't know about George.
Okay. Well, I'll start with it. This is a joke. When people ask me how I met Joy, I say that it was on a dating site called eligiblegreeks.com. Not true, but that's my joke. But the truth is that Joy and I met because of the tours. Her daughter in high school wanted, she's like, where do you want to go for your graduation present? She's like, I want to go to Greece because, her daughter's half Greek. And Joy said, called me and inquired about the tours. And I thought, and that's how it all started. Her daughter ends up not going on the tour until a couple of years.
Now, let me jump in. Joy's not faculty, right?
She actually works. So she runs the vet center in Naples, the VA,
Oh, okay,
the Veterans Administration Center there, and she's been a social.
Yeah, I think you did say that.
She's been a social worker with the VA for many years, and she now for a couple of years she's been teaching at the master's level for us part-time at Florida Gulf Coast University, which is a good fit for her as well. And and she's been teaching there part-time. She's also a University of Kentucky doctoral student. She's finishing basically her second year of her doctor in social work. So she makes fun of me for being an academic nerd, but I don't think she sees where her train is heading. She's she's one of us, Paul.
Okay, so I interrupted. So her high school age daughter was interested in Greece.
And so what ends up happening, she's a little bit of a homebody. She's kind of the opposite of me. And so she ends up like, I don't want to go to Greece. So by this point, Joy and I had become a couple. And so we went to Greece together. And then, but her daughter and my daughter came with us the following year when we got married, and they were our co-signatories. It was a wonderful moment where our daughters were with us and got to enjoy the whole thing. And they roomed together, and they've been really the best of friends ever since. And in fact, they went out again last night. So yeah,
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you, George, for coming on the Joy Cruising Podcast. You are one of my favorite colleagues when I worked at the Academy, and it is good to see you again. It sounds like we may get a chance to work together or play together,
or both, Paul.
or both, sometime in the future.
Yeah.
All the best to you. I hope your trip this year goes well. I sure hope we can help you fill it up. But in any event, I hope it goes well. And as I like to say, we'll see you on the ocean.
Best wishes to you, Paul.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.